The Pittsburgh School District announces COVID-19 protocols as kids gear up to head back. And the cost of back to school is going up. We'll hear how it's affecting local parents.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Kids are heading back to school, and a new survey shows the parents are spending more. This is KOAM News at 10. A new KPMG survey indicates parents will spend around $270 per child this year when it comes to school-related costs. That's a $20 increase from 2020. This evening in Galena, Kansas, hundreds of parents saved money on school supplies when they stopped by the First Baptist Church of Galena and picked up backpacks filled with back-to-school essentials. The church was able to raise money for 320 fully stocked backpacks that were handed out to families from all over the 4-state area. Organizers say the event is in its 3rd year and is even more popular in 2021 with school costs on the rise.
It would cost me anywhere from $65 to $100 per student. And it's even more expensive today than it was when my kids were in school. So, it feels good to be able to lighten the burden on the parents today, especially during this pandemic.
Especially with Corona and everything, it helps. It helps in different ways, but yeah, for like paying bills and stuff.
Backpacks were given out to parents via a drive-through system because of the pandemic. Organizers say they're already preparing for next year when they hope to give out at least 500 backpacks. Checking in with Nick Kelly now for our first look at the weather. Not a bad night out there, Nick.
No, not at all, Dalwin. Normally we would be sweltering under the warmth and the mugginess on a late or early August evening like this, but the numbers were pretty good today. 62 this morning and a high of 85 degrees. Can't beat that, but it won't be long before those numbers start cranking right back up. Nothing on the radar network right now. We haven't had much to track all evening long despite some passing clouds. Any big thunderstorms remaining well to the west, but we do have our next wave coming at us tomorrow with some rain chances, but it's going to also help keep temperatures in check for at least another day. Right now we're in the lower to middle 70s. I think we'll drop back into the upper 60s, most of us around 67. Ahead of our approaching wave, we'll get some cloud cover in here, some more of it in the morning. You could twist my arm and say a random shower during the late morning hours, but I think with this wave working in tomorrow with highs here 84 now, we'll have a shot for some scatter storms tomorrow afternoon, but we'll have to break down the returning heat and humidity. We'll get to that in a bit.
See you then. Pittsburgh School District officials unveiled their reopening plan. Pittsburgh schools will start the year with COVID-19 restrictions in place and will require all students, staff, and visitors to wear masks. With the Delta variant of COVID spreading in the area, one Pittsburgh parent says she believes the policy is a move in the right direction.
I feel more at peace about sending my kids to school now. I still have some concerns, but this is a step in the right direction with reopening school for face-to-face learning.
These new restrictions are set to continue until at least October 1st. The school board says they'll remain in constant communication with the Crawford County Health Department for guidance on restrictions. The Chanute, Kansas Public School District also releases its plans for dealing with COVID during the coming school year. For starters, the district says masks covering the mouth and nose will be worn by all students and staff at all times in any school building. Visitors will not be allowed to participate in lunch. Temperature checks will be required for students and staff as they enter school buildings. And the district will have alternative learning for quarantined students. Voters in Columbus, Kansas yesterday passed a more than $14 million school bond. That money is going to go toward renovating Columbus High School, adding 4 new classrooms, and adding safe rooms to the high school and Central Junior High. The Columbus superintendent says when the work is complete, the high school will be a campus for 7th through 12th graders. Highland Elementary will close, and the Central campus will be for 2nd through 6th grades.
The difference is that Central will have to do the construction while the students are all actually on campus. But what we'll do, we'll be able to do it in phases because the way it's designed, it's almost 3 separate buildings that are attached with hallways.
Work on the high school is expected to be completed by the beginning of the 2022 to 2023 school year, and work at Central should finish by the start of the 2023 to 2024 school year. The CDC warns the U.S. could see more than 2 million new COVID-19 cases over the next month, fueled by the Delta variant, which now accounts for 93% of all infections. That as the Pentagon moves closer to requiring active duty troops to get vaccinated. Natalie Brand has more.
Good morning, Bulldog Pups. It's that time. First day of school.
In this Georgia school district in a suburb outside of Atlanta, masks are optional but strongly recommended. While in another nearby suburb, parents held a back-to-school protest against mask mandates.
From the time that they get them on the bus to the time they get off the bus, that's 9 hours in a mask. My son's 6. That's a long time.
With the Delta variant now accounting for nearly all new COVID cases, a growing number of city leaders have reinstated indoor mask mandates despite opposition from some state leaders, such as the governors of Florida and Texas, who have pushed back against restrictions. Those two states lead the nation in new cases. Other states are announcing new vaccine policy. In Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker has ordered state employees who work in communal settings like prisons to get vaccinated, and he's mandated face coverings for all school children.
Given the CDC's strong recommendation, I had hoped that a state mask requirement in schools wouldn't be necessary, but it is.
And in a major new development, a U.S. defense official confirms to CBS News Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will seek authorization to mandate COVID-19 vaccines for all active duty troops, potentially as soon as this week. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
CBS confirms that the Biden administration is working on a phased plan to require nearly all foreign nationals be vaccinated before entering the U.S. Researchers now are finding long-term cognitive problems with people who've had COVID-19. UK researchers studied more than 80,000 intelligence tests. Of those people who took it, roughly 13,000 said they had had COVID-19. Many of the people who said they had COVID previously found it harder to do things related to reasoning and problem solving. There was also a connection with how bad their symptoms of COVID were to how poorly they did on the test. The people who were placed on ventilators for their COVID symptoms, on average, dropped about 7 IQ points. Still ahead, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo shows no sign he plans to resign. We're going to explain why it might not be his call for long. And Target announces plans to pay for college for hundreds of thousands of its employees. U.S. Congressman from Missouri Billy Long is vying for a new position. Long, who represents Southwest Missouri, announced yesterday he's running for U.S. Senate. The congressman joins a growing list of Republican candidates, including former Governor Eric Greitens and Mark McCloskey, the St. Louis lawyer who pled guilty to waving a gun at protesters last year. They're all looking to fill Senator Roy Blunt's seat. Blunt announced earlier this year he will not seek re-election. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is holding firm and laying low with no indication he plans to resign, despite the shocking allegations of sexual harassment against him. Whether he goes or stays may not be his call for long. CBS News has learned that some New York lawmakers, including fellow Democrats, are ready to start the process of impeaching Cuomo. Nikki Battiste has that story.
Tonight, Governor Andrew Cuomo is fighting for his political life.
My father used to say, God rest his soul, that politics is an ugly business.
The embattled three-term governor is flatly rejecting calls from across the political spectrum and his accusers to resign. And New York lawmakers now say they have the votes to impeach. It comes one day after an explosive report by the state attorney general's office concluded that Cuomo sexually harassed at least 11 women, most of whom were current and former New York State employees, by unwelcome touching and suggestive comments. The report details a litany of complaints, including how Cuomo inappropriately touched and kissed a female state trooper he hired into his security detail, even though she didn't meet the required 3 years of experience with the state police. And in a series of other incidents, Cuomo grabbed a woman identified as Executive Assistant Number 1 by her private parts, including the butt and the breast.
Let me be clear, that never happened.
The 63-year-old said his intentions had been misinterpreted and blamed cultural and generational differences.
Putting your hand up a woman's shirt and touching their breast is not generational.
Among Cuomo's accusers is a former aide, Charlotte Bennett. She spoke to Nora O'Donnell about the governor's response.
Publicly, he would rather play dumb. Privately, he knows that he sexually harassed staffers.
Now 4 district attorneys have launched criminal probes, requesting documents from the Attorney General's investigation. Another accuser, Lindsay Boylan, said today she plans to sue for retaliatory actions taken by the governor and top aides to discredit her. But the bar remains high for a criminal prosecution.
When you're looking at proving a criminal case in a court of law, you are looking at the highest possible bar. It is difficult to get to that final level of getting a conviction. And a prosecutor has to take that into consideration.
People familiar with the situation tell CBS News there's an understanding among New York lawmakers that if the governor does not resign by the end of the weekend, they will move quickly to impeach. That process could take about a month. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
Target is offering its 340,000 U.S.-based employees a free college education. The retailer said today that all part-time and full-time team members will be eligible for debt-free undergraduate degrees, certificates, certifications, free textbooks, and more with no out-of-pocket costs on their first day of work at Target starting this fall. The debt-free offering includes 250 programs from over 40 schools, colleges, and universities. Target will also pay up to $10,000 a year for master's programs. The announcement comes a week after Walmart said it would pay for college tuition and books for its part-time and full-time associates. Later, the Kansas City Royals get the bats going tonight against the White Sox. Jacob Leonard has the highlights in sports.
But first, I am tracking some potential storms for tomorrow, but a definite return of the heat and humidity down the road. Forecast up next. It is nice that we kept this early part of August so far on the warm and not so humid side. That being said, it is still summer. It's only early August, and it's not much longer now before we see that typical summer heat and humidity start to return. But at the very least, the time lapse from Indigo Skies showed a nice start to our Wednesday. Maybe passing cloud cover at times, but again, hardly any threatening skies. And that was just over Indigo Sky. The entire area kept things nice and quiet today, and temperatures below normal. Just like yesterday's highs around 84 degrees, we dropped back into the lower 60s this morning before we catapulted back into the mid 80s. Again, a weak system tomorrow. Might try to bring a few storms our way, but it'll keep temperatures in check for tomorrow before we have to bring the heat and humidity back into play. 7th range line, we're looking quiet from the east side of Joplin. We're at 74, dew point in the mid 60s. Still feels okay if you have any late night errands to run with a light easterly breeze at about 7 miles per hour. Most of us are in the lower and middle 70s, but a few spots like Stockton Lake, Greenfield, already trying to sneak back into the upper 60s, but it won't be long because note these dew points sitting in the mid 60s. Gives you a general idea of where everyone's going to bottom out before we hit sunrise in the morning. So thankfully, these comfortable dew points before they go back up, it's a good indication that we're all dropping back into the upper 60s tonight while we keep an eye on changes out to the west. You can clearly see some rain and thunderstorms trying to hold together in some form across Nebraska and western parts of Kansas. But you wouldn't figure anything was coming our way based on how the surface is looking. I mean, any fronts to the north don't have a shot of coming here anytime soon. We just have high pressure close by. That's what kept us quiet for today. But upstairs, that's a different story. Note this upper level wave, this area of low pressure right along the edge of the jet stream and the upper level ridge. This is what's going to try to bring some storms in here for some of you tomorrow before we see the jet lift back to the north and definitely that upper level ridge. The heat dome, that will certainly be ready to build back in pretty soon. But before we deal with the heat dome, we'll deal with our incoming upper level storm system first. It'll just bring in some cloud cover to overnight, keeping things dry though, with overnight lows dropping back to 67. You can see how I can't rule out a stray shower, maybe a random storm during the morning hours, but as our wave passes nearby throughout the afternoon, I think that's going to be our best shot for any scattered thunderstorms. Not expecting anything really strong or severe, but any storms or rain that can develop could certainly be capable of some good downpours at times, but at least it keeps temperatures in check. 67 in the morning, 80 by noon, even with a southwesterly breeze of 5 to 10. At least we don't look bad tomorrow, with highs topping out around 84. Before that wave departs, I want to keep a chance for a few isolated storms tomorrow night and Friday morning, but overall, we look dry to start the weekend out. But you can see how we'll start to push back into the upper 80s to near 90 on Friday as this wave scoots off toward the east. We may have to watch for another wave that could bring in some storms on Sunday. Scattered storms likely there, but note the jet stream working back to the north and those upper level highs building the ridge back in. That means we'll go from 84 tomorrow to 88 on Friday, 93 Saturday, mid-90s for early next week now before we top out around 97 for a definite hot and humid Wednesday ahead of us.
Oh well, we've enjoyed this nice weather while it's been here.
At least we can enjoy another day of these nice temperatures.
You bet. Thanks, Nick. As dozens of wildfires rage across the United States, people in Europe are also struggling to contain fires burning out of control. Firefighters are battling flames in Greece, where hundreds of people have fled their homes. In Turkey, wildfires are blamed for at least 8 deaths. Fires are also burning in Italy and Albania. Coming up in sports, a former Southeast Kansas standout wins gold at the Olympics. Also, a Chiefs rookie impresses at training camp in St. Joe. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Pittsburgh American Legion baseball team is still alive in the postseason. The Post 64 is in Hastings, Nebraska this week, playing in the Mid-South Regional Tournament. Now, Pittsburgh got here by winning a state championship last weekend, and their opener today, Post 64, falls to Oak Grove, Missouri, 9-4. Pittsburgh will be right back on the field for an elimination game tomorrow morning at 10. To the majors, Royals try to snap a 4-game skid against the White Sox tonight. Here, Whit Merrifield scores Nicky Lopez with the RBI single. Kansas City up 3-0. Next inning, Salvador Perez with a man on. Drills it up and out. 2-run jack. Just like that, it's 5-0. But the Royals not done there. Michael Taylor in on the action off the foul pole. Kansas City gets the offense going tonight. Game's still going. They're up 9-1 in the bottom of the 9th. The St. Louis Cardinals also in action this evening. They try to even the series with the Braves after dropping the opener last night. Now, this one is a back-and-forth game, but the Braves lead right now 7-4 in the bottom of the 8th. A former Southeast Kansas track standout has won gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Now, former Coffeyville Community College sprinter Andre DeGrasse won the men's 200-meter race earlier today for Canada. That's Canada's first gold medal in the men's 200 since 1928. DeGrasse ran it in 19.62 seconds, setting a new Team Canada record. He competed at Coffeyville in 2013 and 2014 before transferring to USC. It's his second medal in this year's Olympic Games. The Kansas City Chiefs are in full pads for the second day at training camp in St. Joe. After leaving practice early yesterday, wide receiver Tyreek Hill was held out of practice today as he deals with tendonitis in his knee. Now, in other injury news, linebacker Willie Gay and defensive end Alex Okafor left practice early this morning. On the positive side, rookie tight end Noah Gray is catching on quickly, according to fellow tight end Travis Kelce. Now, here's what Kelce had to say today about the Chiefs' 5th-round pick.
He's going to help us this year, man. I can't wait till the world sees what that guy can do, man. He's doing an unbelievable job of just, learning this offense. There's so much you have to do in this offense as a tight end. Every rep you get, you learn something, and you can watch other guys and figure out, how you want to attack certain defenses with those reps. And I think he's doing a great job of just, going to work here in training camp and trying to become the best football player he can be.
Former Pittsburgh State wide receiver John Brown is entering his first season with the Las Vegas Raiders. The former Gorilla has been in the league now for 8 years, with the Raiders being his 4th team. Brown spoke to the media at training camp about joining a new wide receiver group and getting to play with quarterback Derek Carr.
He kind of, remind me of Carson Palmer, take that veteran role. And, he believe in his guys and he give his guys chances. So just to be around him, it's a blessing. It's an exciting group. we got a bunch of guys that come in and they're ready to work. But the thing is, you know, none of us have much of a big name, so it's all a point to prove. You know, we have to prove a point to everybody, and we got to come out and execute every day.
Brown has 4,700 yards and 31 touchdowns in his first 7 years in the NFL. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
To honor a local veteran, Sergeant Kenneth Sturgeon, the Stella, Missouri native, served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to salute Sergeant Kenneth Sturgeon. He's tonight's four-state hero. It'll cost you an out-of-this-world price to stay at Disney World's new and long-awaited Star Wars hotel. Disney revealed pricing for its Galactic Star Cruiser hotel today. Rates vary depending on the date of your stay and extras, but the pricing model is similar to that of Disney's cruise ships. It's set price for your stay and admission to Disney's Hollywood studios. Food and beverages, except for alcohol, are included. Sample cabin rate for 2 nights at the hotel for 4 people, $6,000. Yeah, Disney calls it a revolutionary and immersive Star Wars experience. The hotel opens next spring.
After paying $6,000, it better be an immersive experience.
Yeah, and if the food is included, you're going to eat a lot of food, I'm sure. Make sure you get as much for your money's worth as you can. Weather nice for another day.
Yeah, even though we'll have to deal with some scattered storms with the passing upper level wave, we'll keep temperatures in check. We'll go 67 tonight, 84 tomorrow, 88 Friday, but sadly, it's August, so the heat's got to return, and it will starting Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be hot. Final sports note.
The Canadian men's 4x1 team qualified for the finals at the Olympics, so the local guy, former Coffeyville product, Andre DeGrasse, will have one more shot at a gold medal in Tokyo.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great tomorrow.